Hey, Jeffrey Hazen here. I'm chairman and founder of the C-Suite Network and host of All Business with Jeffrey Hazen on C-Suite TV and C-Suite Radio. I want to talk to you about something that's truly special, and that's Stroke TV Media. Now, you might be thinking, Stroke TV, what's that all about? Well, let me tell you, it's so much more than television. At Stroke TV Media, they're on a mission to empower and uplift, and especially do it in the face of adversity. They're all about sharing stories of courage, resilience, and triumph in the wake of a stroke. But you know what really sets Stroke TV Media apart from everybody else? It's the driving force behind it all, Aaron Avila. That man is truly a visionary. It's not just in it for the views and the likes. He's on a mission to empower and inspire people worldwide. So if you're ready to take your knowledge, your understanding, and your life to the next level, then I urge you to tune in to Stroke TV Media today.
Good morning, community. Welcome to Stroke of Genius Podcast, Survivor Experience. As I told you, in 2024, we're opening up Genie Survivor every time. I've got a guest for you today that is going to be amazing. Her name is Brigitte Cutshall, and she's survivor of breast cancer. And you know what? Here at Stroke of Genius Podcast, I wanted to open this up to anybody, any survivor of any type, brain injury, breast cancer, heart attack, you name it. We're here to support you, give you a voice. So Bridget and I are going to be raising breast cancer awareness through this podcast. So I hope that you enjoy this. Let's bring her on. Welcome to Stroke of Genius Podcast, Survivor Experience, where I believe mindset is a foundation of your recovery. I'm your host, Aaron Avila, a 13-year post-survivor of a brain aneurysm and stroke. Join me now as I share survivor stories of resilience and triumph from around the globe. So without further ado, let's get to it. Good morning, Bridget.
Good morning, Aaron. Thank you so much.
I really want to thank you for being here. Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Do me a favor and introduce yourself to the audience.
Well, my name is Brigitte Cutshall. I live in Georgia in the Atlanta area, and I became a health advocate after dealing with health issues. It started when I was 41, and I was young, and I thought I was raising two boys, and I had a rare primary brain tumor, and then I had cancer again, breast cancer again, and then melanoma. So there's pros and cons to everything. And I'm an example of why you need to be proactive and listen to your body, because I might not be here. And I was persistent on finding out what was going on with my body.
You know, Bridget, I'm going to tell you, I do a bit, 2024, I'm opening up my public podcast in the survivor. But the common thread, no matter what it is, people go through. They don't listen to the body.
Yes.
I interviewed hundreds of stroke survivors that had pre-warning signs, but ignored them, played them off. So tell me, let's go back and walk people through your journey. You're 41 years old, you said.
At the time, right?
It must have been, I'm sure you found a lump or something in your breast. You found a lump or something.
Well, it was my OBGYN. They recommended back then to get a mammogram, a screening to have like a baseline, which is called a baseline. So I had that done, I think around 39 years old, to have a baseline. And breast cancer does not run in my family, but she just thought it was a good idea because she had went through my OBGYN serious breast cancer. So then 2 years later, when you're over 40, that's when they recommended back then to have the mammogram again. And so when I did, they noticed something, a nodule that was not there before. Okay, that's the purpose of having a baseline, right? To compare for the future. And so they ended up, because it was wasn't huge or anything, but she just recommended I see a specialist, and they checked it out. They did what's called a biopsy because of the location, and it ended up being early stage, breast cancer. And then what they did based on that, it was positive, right? They also then tested my hormones. There's so many, that's why breast cancer is so tough to distinguish of what caused it. There's like over 30 different reasons, or right. Breast cancer is very confusing, right?
Yeah, that's a lot.
It is a lot. And so my breast cancer doctor that she referred me to, he was a researcher. So I like that because he's open to different things. So he did I did some blood work on my hormones, and I had elevated prolactin levels, which makes, I didn't know I had that, breast milk, and I had elevated growth hormones. And that was a sign that that's what caused my breast cancer, right? And so anyway, I had the little nodule removed, correct? And then they tested it again, and you have to have clear margins. If you've ever had a tumor removed, I don't know how many millimeters it's supposed to be. It's supposed to have a clear margin. And then when they tested that, I call it a nodule because it wasn't huge. I don't really remember how big it was. Sorry. But I had so many things removed in my body. I'm just being funny. Anyway, that's when they discovered, yeah, we need to get my hormone levels normalized. If that makes sense. Because when your hormones are out of whack, I call that it can cause, cancer to grow in different parts of your body. So we could not get my hormones normalized, even on some medication. They gave me some medicine. To normalize it. And I saw so many specialists. So it was a breast cancer doctor that said, well, let's do an MRI of your pituitary, which is in your brain, and it controls your hormones in your body. And that's when they found a 4-millimeter tumor on my pituitary, but they found a bigger tumor in the back of my head that we did not know I had.
Oh my goodness.
Right. It was about 2.5 centimeters, which is pretty big. You only have so much room in your brain. But I didn't know it was there. No one knew it was there because it grew slowly. But it also explains probably why I had some body aches sometimes, because it was pushing on my brainstem. The kind of tumor that I have is in my brain is called a vestibular schwannoma, which is similar to an acoustic neuroma. I learned so much about all this stuff. Nobody knew.
The vestibular is in the ear, correct?
Yeah, the vestibular is your balance nerve, and then it's right next to your acoustic nerve, which is your hearing, and it's right next to your facial nerve, which is obviously your facial reaction to stuff.
And that's where a tumor was.
It was pushing on my brainstem too, but it grew slow, and it's rare. And they called it benign, meaning benign means it's not going to react to treatment for like chemotherapy. That's what, you only have so much room in your brain. So that scared me more than the breast cancer because it's rare. They didn't know what to do. So I saw multiple specialists to help me. I had one doctor ask me, by the way, who asked me, I had to go see an endocrinologist too, because that's your heart, that how everything is connected in your body. And I thought it was hilarious. He asked me if I smoked marijuana. I said no, because that's a side effect. Smoking marijuana can increase your prolactin levels. Isn't that funny? I did not know that. I'm like, no, I don't. And that's kind of why we're asking all these questions. He just wanted to make sure. I'm like, no, I don't do that. And anyway, I found so good. Like I said, I saw 6 different specialists because nobody knew what to do. And I had to advocate for myself. And I did learn, Erin, when you go to these doctor's appointments, you need someone with you because you're not going to hear everything, right? You're just not, because I was so
emotional.
I was emotional. I have a brain tumor, right? And that's all I could think of. And I had my boys, when the breast cancer was found, they were 8 and 11. And then when the brain tumor came back, it was 3 years later. When we found the brain tumor, it was found 3 years later. And so at that point, they were 11 and 14. And so, I was like, holy crap, what am I going to do? So we did lots of research, and I got to have multiple opinions. We can't just go with the first opinion. And one doctor, in between, I was, like I said, he was like, we'll just give you some pain meds. I'm like, no, no. I want to find out, get this thing out of me. But the risk of surgery was a high risk for paralysis, okay, because of where it's located in my brain. So then I decided on using the neurosurgeon when I asked, he's one of the top ones apparently in this area. I asked him, if this was your wife, would you do surgery on her to remove this? He said no. So I'm like, I trust you. And we ended up going with at the time, it was brand new, called Cyberknife, which is targeted, and it was better than Gamma Knife was like sort of similar, but Gamma Knife is like 4-hour treatment all at once, where at least the Cyberknife is split into a couple days. So it's easier to take it in, and it's very targeted. And that was fun. The fun part, if people who don't know what the Cyberknife, you have to have a mask created to shape because you cannot move your body or your head when you're having this targeted radiation. So I think I had that done. I remember listening to some calm music, and I asked them to give me something to forgot what drug it was, but just to calm, you know what I'm saying, so I don't move, because when you get anxious, you might fidget. You don't want to fidget. So that was the downside. I mean, it worked. It eventually shrunk my tumor, but the downside of that is it makes you a little more dizzy for a while because it does inflame your brain a little bit. And it did shrink, but then eventually it grew back a little bit because, right, that's why we're like, crap. And the downside of this tumor, it can create fluid in my brain, extra fluid. It can cause hydrocephalus down the road. But I haven't had that problem. And then about 4 years after that, brain crap, sorry, my breast cancer came back. I say, I'm being nice. I'm not doing the real cursing that I was doing, but it just makes you feel better sometimes when you curse. You understand, probably. But it vents that. But anyway, breast cancer came back, and I found it. It was in my armpit, but I thought it was a lymph node issue, and it turns out I did not know this, even though I've had breast cancer prior. You have what's called a breast tail tissue in your armpit. Even a man does. And so they tested it, and it was the biopsy. I needed to have surgery, and because it was so close to my lymph nodes, you know what I'm saying? It was very dangerous to have something like that. But thank God it was in the breast tail. And I never knew what that meant. But anyway, we had the surgery. I ended up going with, because I had some other weird issue happen a couple months before that. I had like a rash on this side of my breast, which is a sign of something going on, right? And anyway, so I ended up choosing, looking at all the options. I just like, I'm going all for it. I'm going to have a double mastectomy. And we chose it, not on my birthday. I know it sounds weird because you had to have 2 surgeons involved in something like this and for their schedules. So I looked at that as a new beginning to life, and that's how I had to look at it. And but I couldn't, because we knew how aggressive it was. We had to get it out. And because they recommended the breast cancer doctor put that rash on the left breast a couple months prior to there's a red flag going on both. You know what I'm saying? So it didn't make sense to just do one mastectomy, so I did both. And I don't tell a lot of people that, but it was cool, right? And I should say cool. Anyway, so when they removed that tumor, they did also remove 1 lymph node on each side just to make sure they were clear. Everything was clear. Thank God for that. Then the tumor, they had it sent to a a lab for us called an oncotype, what type of cancer it was. And it was very aggressive. I don't remember the specific.
Here is your reminder.
Sorry,
So-
Alexa.
That's okay. Anyway, so it was aggressive, and like, what are the options now? Or what do we do now? Because they were recommending chemotherapy at that point, because even though the lymph nodes were clear, it still could have snuck out. You know what I'm saying? And I should say snuck out. So the downside of all this, we were worried about what the chemo would do to the brain tumor, because it was still there that I had. And my hormones were still just not right. And anyway, I decided, okay, we'll go with chemotherapy because of the type of the aggressive cancer I had, which was, they also believe, after doing more research, one of the neurologists, I had to meet with neurologists too occasionally, because he believes the brain tumor.
Bridget, listen, this is going to be edited, okay?
It's gonna be what?
I'll be right back.
Okay, pause it. Yep,
I'm going to search live and I got to go to the restroom. I'll be back.
no problem.
What I get for drinking more water. Be right back. No, I'm doing an interview. I have to go to the restroom. I am so sorry, Bridget. Oh my gosh, how embarrassing.
You could cut that out.
Yeah, I've been doing this for a while, and I have never had that happen. Never. But it was my own fault because I took my pills. I might took my water a little later. But all right, this is a burger and business. Oh, and this how you'll never see it. But want to go back to being your first diagnosis. You said, did you have any pre-warning signs of something wrong
I
that
think
you may have ignored?
Not kind of, sort of. It was hard to, because I was a woman, a mom who traveled a lot, so I was tired a lot. How's that? And I kind of ignored it a little bit. And I had some pain, but the pain we didn't know at the time was really the brain tumor. The brain tumor is what they believe is what caused my breast cancer, because you only have so much room in your brain, and it ended up putting pressure on my pituitary, which is in your brain too, and it causes, it can affect your hormones. And that's really what it was. I did have some body aches, and it was my OBGYN. She and I, we talk a lot because she had breast cancer too. So she knows so I was very fortunate to be with someone like her, to talk to her. And so she listened. And that's when they recommend, some people say you can get breast cancer from mammograms. I'm sure you've heard that, right?
I have, yes.
I don't know if that's true or not. I had a friggin' brain tumor that we didn't know about, and that's what was the cause behind all this. And it was the same doctor who discovered my breast cancer, who helped me. She actually helped me kill that brain tumor even after CyberKnife, because it grew back again. It was just so people that are listening, the tetanus booster shot, the Tdap, is being repurposed now to help take care of brain tumors. And they did that for me. That is what killed my brain tumor finally. And that was almost, 2015 is when I had the Tdap booster shot. And everything is normal now. Isn't that funny?
I'll tell you, I mean, this had to be absolutely.
I'm a puzzle, right? That's what they said to me, that one of the doctors said I was a zebra among horses, because they do everything right and these weird things were cropping up. And this is an example of how your environment can also affect you in a way, because how did I get my brain tumor is caused by radiation exposure? How did that happen? Right? We don't know. So that's the downside of some of the tech that's out there. Sorry. But I was, they believe I had that tumor for longer than I knew, because it grew very slowly. But because I just knew something was off, and I would get these checkups, and then they were doing like some x-rays. I did x-rays in my back. Like, why am I hurting? Well, I didn't find anything. They needed to do something to my, your brain controls everything in your body. And that's what ended up, the MRI was a miracle. It discovered all my root causes and I'm so glad I just denied taking pain meds, because it's just for the pain I was having.
Yeah,
But the breast cancer,
cover up your symptoms.
it's covering up my symptoms. And then my breast cancer came back because we couldn't control those hormones that were being affected by the brain tumor, right? And that's why I'm just really, I think I'm fortunate, and to also listening to your body, you also need to think and not respond, and have some different opinions, right? Rather than, because you have to have different perspectives. And that's why the breast cancer stuff in general is very hard for people to figure out the cause of it, because like I mentioned earlier, it's over 30 different types. I don't have they did some tests on me. I'm sure you've heard like the triple negative kind of people. That's the hardest one to treat. Only one of my markers was negative. I had plus, I can't remember specifically. I try not to, I don't remember, but one of mine was negative. And it's just all related really to hormones. It's really what it is. And so we had to get my hormones in control, but we couldn't get them in control until I killed that brain tumor.
My goodness.
Right.
But I gotta back up, because man, this is a lot.
I'm sorry. I know I'm a mess.
There's a lot to consume. But you first of all found your breast cancer, and that led you to a brain tumor of all things.
Because I was curious, right? I wasn't, because after the breast cancer is when my pain started accelerating in my body. Does that make sense? It's like, this is weird. Why is this happening to me? Right? And I thought I had arthritis or something. I did not. So that's why I kept, and that's why I believe you got to get some different opinions from different doctors. And I highly recommend, when you have a puzzle like me, is to work with doctors who also are involved in research. Right.
Yeah, that's a great way to put you. You're like a puzzle. You have so many pieces coming out, fitting. This amazing. But I gotta know from my husband's point of view, what was your husband doing during this time?
He was very supportive in helping me raise our sons. He was very supportive. He took me to a lot of my appointments. I would get his feedback. He had come to some of my appointments with me because, like I said, you can't hear everything. And one of the specialist meetings I went to, he couldn't. I had to go to like Chicago to see a specialist, because that's how rare this brain tumor is. So he had to stay home with the boys, and so I had my best friend from high school go with me. He was very supportive. Yeah, he had to be there for me. And that's great. And so he supported me, and he listened, and he agreed with this after we researched and looked at all the stats. You have to look at data sometimes too. I know some of it is emotional, but you also have to look at the data too, right?
Yeah, it's kind of funny, but now I'm curious. I need to ask you, what kind of emotions? I mean, you heard your look at death. I imagine.
Oh yeah, I
you
did.
know,
I thought I was going to die from the brain tumor
mm,
because the cyber knife to your brain is, you probably understand that, is really hard on you. And I was so fatigued. I couldn't even walk very well. I can now, but I remember one of the side effects I had, I forgot what it was. It was some massive pain. All of a sudden, we were at the grocery store together and had just out of the blue, massive pain in my brain. And I called the doctor right away. And the radiation doctor, because he was the one doing the cyber knife. And my husband was with me. And I had to go, it went away, but I had to end up I did have to have some steroids for a little bit because it swells your brain, the cyber knife.
yeah.
Yeah, it's not, I wasn't on steroids very long. It was just enough so that I wouldn't like faint, you know.
Right.
I couldn't drive for a while, Aaron, after that, just because I was super dizzy. And that's not safe. You want to make sure you're not going to hurt anybody else and be, risky in driving. And so my husband, he's brave. He was very brave to be there and supported me. But it was very, to me, the brain tumor diagnosis was scarier than breast cancer, just because they didn't know what
Your
to do.
brain. Yeah, I never
My
thought
brain.
that. For people that don't know out there, I actually have a tumor also. It's been my right eye, and it's currently there. I'm with the cyberknife treatment I do for a new scan, but I know exactly what you're talking
It's,
about as far as it goes. The cyberknife is amazing, and people don't know what it is. It's a robot arm that
mhm.
rotates, and they actually program the computer to right down to the millimeter. I forget what it is.
Yeah.
Taking high intensity radiation shot
Yes.
into your skull, non-invasive, and then
Yes.
into the tumor, and they're attempting to kill it. And I know exactly what cyberknife is. Well, I did my own treatment, and me, we'll see how well we're really hoping it doesn't go back. Obviously,
It was, I'm just very grateful that it was available at that time, right? If they had, and it was, my brain tumor was discovered in 2009, so that's basically 15 years ago, about the same time as you probably, right? And I'm just grateful that I'm curious, can be grateful for that. And yeah, you have to be. And I had a supportive husband, and my family was supportive, and wanted to be there for my sons, and they were still in middle school, and like my oldest at the time for the brain tumor, he was like freshman in high school, I think. Yeah. And it's, you just want to that was my hope too. I'm like, I'm gonna figure this out. I'm gonna do this. And I also, after all that, I'm kind of mixed in the integrative health. You know what I'm talking about? Traditional stuff. And
repeat
then
that the integrative health.
integrative, meaning, am I eating something that's making this worse? I
Mhm.
didn't know. Wanted to look at everything you're putting in your body, on your body. And I did see a holistic epidemiologist, and he learned that I also was having my stomach was bothering me too, but we thought it was a side effect of the radiation to my brain. It turns out I have a casein protein issue,
Oh
which is
goodness!
dairy. And they checked me for I don't have a gluten problem. But if you think about it, in our country, we put dairy in our bread. Why do we do that? Anyway, so I went to help myself heal. I saw this great doctor. I went to learn about nutrition. And this is an example. I always craved more vegetables, but that's because my body needed that to heal. It was telling me, don't eat that dairy, right? Eat more vegetables and things like that. And I learned, like, everybody is different. And the same diet is not going to work for everybody. And that's kind of what I learned. And like eating beef makes me more tired because my body takes more energy to digest beef, right? Where if I have vegetables or chicken or fish, that's probably why I crave that. I don't want to go lay down and take a nap, right? And but then the dairy thing was kind of shocking. I wasn't ever really big into eating it, but that's the marketing aspect. You see it everywhere. You got to
Is
eat it.
that true? We're marketed to eat dairy, to eat meat, to eat, but really, it's not healthy for you. I'll be honest with you.
It's not.
It's not. There's nothing good about beef or dairy or fast food. It's all bad for you. In fact, long known
Right.
that can lead to cancer.
And that was probably didn't help my body. It was so busy. I've had this tumor growing, and so my body's like, okay, we got to go fight this dairy that she's eating rather than taking, so that's kind of what it is. Your body, your immune system can only handle so much. And that's why I decided to help my immune system more by what I'm eating, right? And then what I'm putting even like on my body, like I'm sure you've heard all that, like the lotions and stuff like that. Because it can trigger your bad hormones for some women in breast cancer. What's it called? I can't remember what it's called, but certain chemical that's in some of that stuff. And so I learned to go more organic on everything. And I drink, I don't drink coffee. I never did like it, Aaron, because coffee I learned can just too much caffeine in general. I shouldn't blame it on coffee, but my body's different than most people. It can increase cortisol levels in your body, which increases your stress levels, right? And that can affect cancer. You know what I'm saying?
Oh my God.
And your immune system is working overtime. At least for mine was. I just was, eat certain things, eat a certain way, and I was consistent as much as I could be with exercising, and I'm even much more consistent again, which is great. But I had to have physical therapy, and you probably did too, to be able to do that stuff again. But it was important to me, and I knew as part of my immune system that you have to get up and move when you can. And I'm very fortunate to still be here. But again, something was just telling me, Bridget, get up and move, eat your vegetables. And why are you feeling this pain? Right. But I just kept asking questions, and asking questions is critical. And then again, having someone there when you're with doctors to get the answers to help you understand.
That's really good advice. And this is really crazy, but we're already, the show's almost over. But I gotta ask you that let's raise the lip breast cancer awareness for sure. Because you're actually doing something. You're raising breast cancer awareness, raising brain tumor awareness.
Yes.
But I think to sum up what I've heard you say, and it's been since I've been doing this podcast, sports stroke survivors, heart attack survivors, and now you're a breast cancer survivor. Listen to your body.
Yes.
It tells you, and you eat a lot of junk food, you eat a lot of processed foods. I mean, okay, don't be naive thinking they're good for you. They're not.
It's not.
They're
No.
cancer. Aren't they known to cause cancer? All those.
Yes, there's chemicals in there. Just that's why what you're eating. And I think my understanding is it's just not processed properly either. It's not just chemicals, but it's not processed properly. And the same with not just with the food, but your skin is an organ too. That's kind of what I learned. Your skin is an organ. It absorbs what you're putting on there. And you got I try to go organic even with that.
Yeah, but on or some lotions, antiperspirants,
yes,
perfume.
deodorant. Your deodorant.
What?
Your deodorant. Think about it. It goes by in your armpit where all your lymph nodes are. A lot of lymph nodes are under there.
There's a tremendous. I'm probably gonna get back on because that's a lot we could talk about. But if there's one parting thing you tell somebody out there, as far as breast cancer, is what to be aware of. Can you give me something? Can you give the audience out there some final words for you to say?
To do what? I'm sorry.
Give people some final closing words you have to
Yeah,
say.
definitely, especially if you're, I mean, breast cancer affects men too, by the way, but it's mostly women. It is related to hormones. And please, I recommend if you feel anything abnormal, even a rash on your right around your breast or a little lump, get it checked out. And I highly recommend you've got to have your annual checkups. That's kind of how a lot of people or things are found as well. Annual checkups, and to make sure your diet meets what your body it can handle, because you want your immune system to not be working overtime. And I was probably doing that to my body too, right? Eating dairy, and I didn't know it wasn't good. But if something is not right, reach out to your doctor and listen to your body. That's really the main cause. If I had not listened to my body, I might not be here. And it's okay to be a PETA, which is, I joke, is a pain in the ass. Sorry, but you got to ask the questions. It's important. And to again, if you have anything that doesn't seem right, don't ignore it. Don't ignore it.
Yeah, don't brush it off and kind of sweep it under the carpet.
Yes, some people do, and then
That's
too progressed.
that's something I wanted to bring attention to, because I knew someone I worked construction in my younger days.
Right.
Breast cancer is not only a woman thing; it does happen. I know guys that got breast cancer,
Right.
and he had one of his breasts removed. Just has just a scar there. So I just want listen to your body. Understand if anything feels wrong, go to your doctor. Don't just brush it off. Don't say I'm dizzy. I got headaches.
Right.
I got a lump on my breast. Whatever it is. I'm big cream fish. I'm greedy. Listen to your body, people. Don't let. Brigitte, thank you so much for being here. I can't thank you enough. And I
This is
really
awesome.
appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right.
Set me on